all the time to chase through a bedroom floor, so I just passed it. Can you imagine if the buyer comes later and now has to deal with this whole big problem? That's the kind of thing that's happening out there. And then, this is your chance to be popular with your seller. Okay. There's no cross-connection between the potable supply and any alternate supply. Just like with the electrical installation with an alternate electrical supply, the city need to know about it. Why? Because you can injure their man on the pole. So if you've got an alternate water supply collecting rainwater, or you're pumping water out of a well point or a borehole, and you're filtering it and you're using it on your installation, and you're connecting also to the city's main water supply. If your system fails, or if their system goes down, so there's lack of pressure because they are working on the water supply, your water can be pumped from your system into the street and into your neighbor's property. Now there's no control over whether that water is contaminated or not. Okay, so the city want an RPZ valve put in, reduced pressure zone valve. Very expensive. It's got to be put in just after the water meter, on the owner's side of the water meter. But sometimes that's in the middle of a garden, or there's no wall nearby, but that system's got to be mounted properly. So we've got to divert that water supply to the nearest point to mount it, and then bring the supply back, and we've got to put in this RPZ valve. Cost of an RPZ valve between 4 and 8 grand. That's cost price of material. Installation, 12, 15,000, depending on what's needed, if paving's needed, etc. So we want to look at some situations. Can we get away with not putting an RPZ valve in? It depends. But let's first look at why it's so expensive. Okay. Here are 2 different RPZ valves put in. They have to be above ground because there's a drip that occurs from them, and if it's wasting water, you need to be able to see it. You can see this is taken up against the wall. It's rigid, it's got to be supported properly. And the other one is also against the wall. Now, that's a little bit closer. What is involved? Well, you need a strainer on the supply to prevent dirt and stuff from getting into the RPZ valve. You need an isolation valve on either side, and there's your supply in and your supply back from the RPZ to the main line. So this is like a last-ditch protection for the city's water supply. Okay? Why is this installation so costly, apart from the material cost? How many connections do you think are in that picture? How many different joints? Lots of them are, those ones at the bottom are solder joints. Every time there's a bend, there's another solder joint. Takes time, blowtorch, solder. How many connections do you think there are? Just a guess.
20.
33. Okay. That is a 2 to 4 hour job. Okay. That's where the labor component comes from, and the materials are expensive. And you might have 10, 11 meters of pipe that might have to be trenched or whatever to get to where the main supply is. You know, from the water meter, sometimes if you've got a property with a retaining wall inside, you don't even know where the pipes are. You've got to get to that. Okay. So can you save the seller money by recommending the removal of the cross connection between the main water line and the alternate supply? It depends on the situation, depending on if the alternate supply is considered a feature or not. So some alternate supplies only feed the irrigation. That's all they're there for. But there's a cross connection, so if your borehole fails or your well point fails, now you can feed from City of Cape Town mains. If we disconnect that cross connection, we've solved the problem at 310 Rand as opposed to 15,000. But what happens if it is viewed as a feature? So this is a feature. This is a little bit of an overkill video. Not all of them are like this, but you can